Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. We're here with Voces Unidas on KROJ 101.5 FM. This show is produced by Valley View's SFV Media and Voces Unidas in Pacoima. Today, your hosts are Diosy
and Maria.
And we're here with TreePeople. Today, we have Melisa joining us.
Hello, everybody.
Who is usually our host here with Voces Unidas. But today, we're going to be doing a little twist and we're going to be interviewing Melisa and her colleagues for TreePeople. Thank you so much, Melisa, for being here. Why don't you go ahead and introduce your colleagues?
Yeah, hi, everybody. I know I'm on the other side today, which is exciting. But yeah, obviously you guys know my voice. Hi, y'all. I'm Melisa. And I'm here with Xiomara and Rose. We're the community forestry team here in the San Fernando Valley, specifically in the city of San Fernando as well. And yeah, if you guys want to introduce yourselves, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Rose. I'm the Community Forestry Coordinator here in San Fernando Valley, and I'm very excited to be here today.
And my name is Xiomara. I am also the Community Forestry Associate Manager, and it's so fun to get to work with Melisa and Rose and be part of this show, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Comadre, how are you doing today?
Doing well. Just dealing with this change in weather. I thought we were almost out of the wind air, the wind zone.
Yes.
But now we're heading back up, and so I'm excited to chat about, how all this is impacting, your jobs and your operations, your mission, and even maybe touch on beyond that, like with the new administration, how that might affect you. So I'm excited to just get to know you guys today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And just to timestamp us right now, we are pre-recorded. And so the second half of the show, you guys are listening to us in the past. Ooh. And so today is Thursday, January 23rd, right around 2:40-ish p.m. And, there's some fires that have started up. The wind is pretty messy. There's a lot of toxins in the air, a lot of pollution in the air. Definitely feeling that with like allergies and whatnot. I know Tere and I were texting just a little while ago talking about how her house felt like it was shaking. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so Tere, also, my comadre, if you guys know, my co-host today is my comadre Maria from Las Comadres. And so my comadre lives right next to the airport as well. So that's like a lot right there too, just to.
And it's next to the train tracks.
Yeah. So a lot of.
It's a lot.
A lot of.
There's a lot of noise around, a lot of noise pollution. So which it further continues to encourage me to do the work that we're doing today.
Yes.
Totally.
So without further ado, I really want to know about TreePeople's mission statement. And what their goal in the community is, and then maybe I would like to hear from each one of you individually on how you guys got started with TreePeople, what like sparked that interest for y'all, and maybe we could take it from there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I can just read TreePeople's mission, which is to inspire, engage, and support people to take personal responsibility for the environment, making it safe, healthy, fun, and sustainable. And we share a process as a model for the world. And something that Xiomara and Rose really pointed out to me when I first started at TreePeople was that the fun part of our mission is kind of unique. There's not a lot of nonprofits and out there that have fun, the word fun in their mission statement. And as we know, mission statements are really powerful and very, very intentional. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's something that's just really important to note, is that the work that we do in the community and engaging with volunteers on a weekly basis is really to engage in fun and have activities that are exciting for people to join. And so, yeah, I think, for me, I'm, here with, such a great legacy of, folks with Xiomara and Rose have been at TreePeople for, a good couple of years now. And as, many listeners know, I've been there for about, a month and a half. Mm-hmm. And so I'm definitely, the new kid on the block. But I think for me, as a lot of folks know, I came from doing environmental policy and doing, a lot of work, on the ground there. But also, I found it really exciting and engaging to do more like outdoors work, like being more connected to like the trees that are around like our urban communities, and just connecting with the community members in like a different way. And so that's something that I'm like really excited about, and just being able to like talk to community about trees and like seeing how they're engaged, and like even the trauma behind some things, right? So like we all have like different traumas around things, and like some folks have trauma around trees, and so like how can we bridge that gap and like make people more comfortable with like having a tree in front of their yard, right? Because like sometimes like they break on cars or like things like that, and how can we like engage with people and talk with folks and kind of like bridge that and make people more excited about trees in their neighborhood. And I know Rose and Xiomara maybe later on can talk about like why it's so important to have trees in urban spaces as well, and like what the benefits of them are. But yeah, that's why like I'm here and just like super excited to continue learning and like in this new role that I have.
Thank you. Rose, would you like to go next?
Yeah. I started at TreePeople because I was stressed about climate change. That's why I completely 180'd a whole career that I had started, and immediately was like, how can I help? And I started volunteering at lots of different places, and I was fortunate enough to get an internship with TreePeople. And that really showed me that there was work to do in the ground, on the ground, in the dirt. And yeah, so every day that we have these wind events and every day that we have these wildfires, I'm very proud to be able to continue my work in climate change bit by bit in the community.
Yeah. Thank you. What about you, Xiomara?
Oh yeah, similar to Melissa and Rose, growing up, learning about climate change and really wanting to have a career doing something, and I really love being outside. I really love connecting with community members. I was born and raised here in the Northeast San Fernando Valley in San Tahunga, so growing up around nature and seeing the importance of having trees around you. So I feel really blessed to be part of this movement and do this work.
Thank you. And something all of you guys said was like you really enjoy the aspect of your work to be outside on the ground. Like my comadre was talking about right now, that work is being affected currently due to the fires and the winds. How you were saying you're very proud to be able to continue your work. How does that look like during a time like this for you guys, the work that you guys do and how you connect to community? And then how does that also affect the way you feel like going to work, knowing that you're going to be facing these climate issues?
Yeah, go ahead, Xiomara, go.
I would just say that it's something that it's still new to us, I guess. We're still I'm personally grappling with the reality of like, hey, like might have more days where we're not able to go out in the field as much. We have to really have emergency plans, and we're working on that. We're working on that and always improving things and being flexible ourselves. So I guess that's how we're approaching it.
Yeah, I think like also with the winds and like the fires, I think just being like super vigilant about like the smoke and like just what's going on. We like weren't on the ground like the first 2 weeks like when the fire started, and I think also like our like upper management were like really kind and being like, if you guys need to take time off, like if you guys just need space to like deal with just the really harsh reality that we're dealing with in Los Angeles. Like the city has gone through like so much, like it's truly heartbreaking. And so being able to like have that kind of like acceptance from our leaders of being like, it's okay to be sad, like it's okay to like take time, I think it was just like really healthy, because like you just don't know when you're like dealing with an employer. Like sometimes people are like, oh well, this is happening, but like you still gotta clock in and like do things. And like our managers were like, yeah, like if you guys want to take time and like volunteer, like we'll help facilitate that, like we'll help you guys like go and like help with fire relief and like do all these things. And so I think that's just been like a really beautiful thing to see, like us as TreePeople come together and being like, we're gonna actually prioritize like being in community and like being supportive like within our own community. So I think that was like something really great. And then with the wind, I think it's just continuously like having to make sure that we're checking in on our trees, like that's been something that we've been doing for the past couple of weeks, and just like some of them are sad, but like we're just continuously like making sure that we're creating like a good environment for them, and like taking as much time as we can to like make sure that we're keeping an eye on them and things like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we're very aware of how the climate and these big climate events are like changing the type of tree we need to plant, changing how we plant, changing where we can plant. And so fortunately we've been preparing not for this insane amount of wind, but we've been preparing. We've been thinking about it a lot, the types of trees that we're planting. We make sure that we plant like all climate appropriate or future climate appropriate trees, and I think in the end that'll make a big difference.
Yeah.
So even if we're not out there right now because we're keeping ourselves safe, we're supporting our community in the long run.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting to hear that you're having to sort of shift how you're planting the trees. And just thinking back 100 years ago, that a lot of those native plants and native trees are no longer here because like the weather has been shifting. So you bring up a really good point. Like, what is our urban landscape going to look like in 10 years? And how are the trees going to fare? Like, how are they going to survive? And what can we as a community do to support that, you know?
Yeah. Well, what can we do as a community to support you guys? I know that I've seen Tree People out there. There's a few other organizations I've seen out there, and I would love to hear how you guys are partnering up with these other organizations as well. I know that I've seen the LA Conservation Corps, and I know that I've seen some of Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez's people out servicing trees and, urban spaces as well. So how does that work with Tree People? How do you guys work with other organizations to ensure that this is happening in the community, that we're taking care of our trees?
Okay. Tree People is one of many City of LA planting partners, which LA Conservation Corps, like you mentioned, and City Plants and Northeast Trees and a few others are. We're all working towards like collaboration and partnership and stewarding the urban forest in LA. In the city of San Fernando, I think we're the only nonprofit. So it's kind of like we love the city of San Fernando. It's the best. The community members and the city are so supportive. And we do work with, we've worked in the past with Council Member Monica Rodriguez, with city council members in the city of San Fernando. Our late CEO, Cindy Montañez, was the city council member, so we have lots of connections through her and her family. And also a lot of community groups that reach out to us saying, hey, we want to volunteer with you. They send us students, they send the membership. We're always open to collaborating, and again, we try to make the events fun and educational too. Workshops, fruit tree distributions, as well as planting and taking care of the trees that we planted.
Yeah, and I think like something that's really cool is just like the partnership that we have with the city of San Fernando. It's very of what I've understood of it, it's like pretty unique compared to like the other teams. Like, we have had just like really great leaders from like the past of like just being in this city for like years and years and years, and have built like such a beautiful partnership with the city of San Fernando. So like when we're driving around like in our Tree People trucks, or like we have like our vests on that say Tree People on it, like the city staff are always just like, oh, hey guys, like how you guys doing, like do you need any help, or like honking at us and being like waving, like saying hello. And I was with and like just being with other people from like different teams, and like they're coming and like hanging out with us for the day or whatnot, or like helping us out for the day, right? And they're like, whoa, like I don't see this normally. And like I think that's also something that's like so beautiful, is like just this partnership with the city. It's like we really couldn't do the work that we do day in day out without their help. Like they let us store trees like at the public works yard, and like they are just like incredibly helpful and generous with their time and their energy with us. And yeah, I don't know if you guys want to talk more about that, because you guys have had like such a great, like you two have really continued that legacy of like building the partnership with them. But like everybody's just like so amazing at the city.
Yeah. I think, they are our biggest partner here, for sure. And like Melissa's saying, they are out there every weekend with us, which also really brings security to the community and to the people, the residents that are getting the trees. They know that the city is out there with us, looking after our trees with us, and I think that's really important too.
That's a great way to go into this next question that I have. I want to know, like, how, in your guys' opinions, how do trees and these green spaces reflect the culture and identity of the Northeast San Fernando Valley?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, and you guys, I don't want to keep talking, but I think for me, like, I'll go back to, like, just the history of it all, right? It's like here in the Northeast Valley, like, there's been a lot of redlining, there's been, like, a lot of disinvestment, and so we don't see huge tree canopy like we do in, like, other communities on the west side, on the like in the south side, and, like, when you're going into, like, more affluent areas of Los Angeles, and even some more affluent areas in the Northeast Valley, right? And so, like, I think what's really important is to realize that, like, having trees and green spaces is, like, so essential to, like, the human experience, and, like, being in urban spaces, like, doesn't have to just be, like, a concrete city, but, like, it can be really, like, beautiful, and having, like, this tree canopy that, you know, filters in the light, and, like, you have shade when you're walking to and from school, or, like, from the bus stop, like, back home, and, like, I think it's just, there's, like, moments when even hearing stories from, like, other community members, or, like, even my own family, like, there's, like, certain trees that, like, pop up in your memory about, like, oh yeah, like, I would walk past a tree, like, going to and from school, or, like, you know, the tree in front of my house was, like I would always go and, like, climb up it when, like, my mom was mad at me or something, you know. And so I think it's just, like, I feel like we don't really realize how important, like, trees are in the built environment around this city. Then, like, we really, like, we just, like, don't really realize it when we're thinking about it. And then when we're really, like, sat in front of, like, okay, we have to, like, actually dig a hole now and, like, plant this tree, you're like, oh wow, like, okay, I see, like, these new trees, and, like, this is what it looks like to have, like, a new tree in the community. And then, like, now you're noticing, like, oh, like, this is another new tree, and then this is, like, an older tree that's been established for a while, and, like, maybe the city planted this one, and then, like, a nonprofit planted this one. And then especially for, like, our community members that come out and volunteer with us, like, we'll like, plant on their own street, and so they're like, yeah, this is, like, the tree that I planted, and I see it every single day. And I think that's, like, really, really important to, like, realize too, is, like, it's so embedded in, like, the way that we just engage with our own environment, that, like, we, like, you can't really get away from a tree. And, like, it's just so, yeah, I think it's just so important to have.
Thank you for sharing. Do you guys have anything to add?
I would add that I've noticed that people have noticed trees through their lifespan, and unfortunately, going back to the climate change and going back to what it looked like 100 years ago to now to 100 years in the future, that a lot of them have memories of their trees being taken out. And a lot of them have memories of, oh, this street used to be just full of trees and now they're all gone. And so that also, like Melissa was saying earlier, can bring trauma and worry for the future of the trees. But it also means that they are noticing that the trees really made a difference in their lives.
Yeah.
And that's so beautiful.
That is beautiful. And I would like to add a little bit of a reflection, just based off of the information that you guys have shared and, like, your reflections right now. I would have to say that, well, like, as you guys know, I live in Pacoima, and there's not many trees there. There are some streets that still have a bit of a tree canopy. And I grew up in Pacoima my whole life, left, came back multiple times. And so I've seen the transformation of Pacoima kind of happen. And even though Pacoima has always been a concrete jungle, we did have the presence of more trees when I was growing up. And so I saw a lot of that kind of shift during the drought of 2008, and kind of people started kind of having more drought resistant lawns, and that removed a lot of, like, the green spaces that I had. And At the time I was commuting on the bus a lot because of, you know, school. I was still youth. And, you know, now I'm an adult and I've been in and out, like I said, in and out of my community. And I have noticed exactly what you've said. There's trees that have gotten taken down. There's just spaces where I'm like, it used to look so pretty here and now it's not pretty anymore. And so with that reflection, I'm also now thinking about the city of San Fernando. And the city of San Fernando has always been our neighbor, right, to Pacoima. And so, but the city of San Fernando has always had this greener feel to it. There's more greener parks here. Our parks have more trees here, versus like the parks in Pacoima are more scarce. You know, there's, so just those reflections there are very drastic, right? What can we do as a community to make that drastic shift from, like, let's say the city of San Fernando to Pacoima, which is, you know, San Fernando City is an independent city. Pacoima is not. How can we bridge that and make it look more like San Fernando and Pacoima? Because I know, like I said, I have seen like the councilwoman's people out there. I have seen the conservation corps, and I've seen you guys as well. But I guess as a community member, there hasn't, like, I haven't had that calling of like, oh, like, let me plant a tree, right? And so I do now. I definitely want to get involved. I want to go plant a tree. I want to plant a tree by my house. But like, what can we do? How can we get involved, right?
Well, we are going to be giving away shade trees for your property. They'll be smaller 5-gallon shade trees. So you could get in contact with us, and we'll be giving them away to like Xiomara, San Fernando, Pacoima residents. So you don't have to just live in San Fernando for that. But as of right now, our focus is San Fernando and Xiomara for street tree plantings. So if you wanted like a street tree in front of your house, we could definitely plant it there. But I would say there's also a great program called City Plants that I used to be a part of. You could sign up for a street tree or sign up for a yard tree too, and those are coming from the City of LA and LADWP. You can get up to 7 shade trees for your house, and just like looking after them, learning about how to plant them properly, get support from City Plants themselves, or, you know, I guess from TreePeople as well. We have lots of resources online, and then just sharing that knowledge with others too. I don't know, I guess if someone comes to your house and says, wow, look at that beautiful tree, you can talk about it, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Or just share that love for it. So yeah, I guess just in those one-on-one interactions. But yeah, I guess that's a good start.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just like a perfect segue also into like just a continuous like ability to organize and like talk to people and like communicate. I think, yeah, something right now is like we're not doing street tree planting like specifically in Pacoima, but also like Xiomara said, like we're going to be giving away shade trees and fruit trees. And so like how can you get involved like through TreePeople or through like another organization like City Plants, to really like start like greenifying your neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something that's like really important too. And just like Xiomara said, like having those one-on-one conversations is like the epitome of like organizing and like making sure that you're connecting with folks and like talking to people of like, okay, like if you don't want a tree, like why don't you want a tree? And like what's that barrier that maybe we can like get over together? And like how can we work together as like a community, as a neighborhood, like as a neighbor, that maybe like we can take care of each other and take care of the trees together. So yeah.
Thank you. Well, we're going to go on a quick little break. Our musical breaks are provided to you guys by Alex Infinity. Alex Infinity has created a playlist for us called Las Comadres, Locals Only, on Spotify. And yeah, we'll be right back, y'all. And you guys are back on our Monday show with Voces Unidas. Your host, your guest today, our guest today is TreePeople. But your host today is Diosy
and Maria.
And we're here chatting it up on a pre-recorded segment with TreePeople. We have one of our co-hosts who works with TreePeople here with us, Melisa. And then we have her colleagues, Xiomara and Rose. And we've just been chatting it up a bit about just personal experiences and then also just getting to know a little bit about what TreePeople is and what TreePeople does in the community, different partnerships that they have. I'm really interested to know what kind of programs you guys have for a community to get involved with you guys.
Okay. Well, I could talk about the community plantings that we host. So almost every Saturday we host a community planting. Right now they're in San Fernando. We'll also be expanding into Silmar and the West Valley too, so reaching both corners of the San Fernando Valley. We're really excited about that. And so we start at 8:45 in the morning. We invite volunteers to come join us at 8:45, and we plant trees together. We start with a demonstration, we go over safety, and then we get to planting the trees. And we also maintain the trees afterwards, and we communicate with community members the whole time when they're adopting the tree. But I would say the tree planting is kind of like the icing on the cake. We do a lot of work before we even get to actually planting the trees. So we go and knock on doors. First of all, we assess areas that have availability for trees, and then we knock on doors and invite community members to adopt a street tree. We also give them the option to say, hey, would you like a flowering tree? Would you like an evergreen tree or a tree that has fall color? So they kind of have some options with what kind of tree. And then we purchase the trees, and we plant trees in spaces that are appropriate for the size, the parkway size width. So trees that won't break sidewalks and won't get into the overhead wires. So trees can get as big as they can, because each species has different size, growth sizes.
Yes.
Yeah. And sorry.
Go ahead.
I'll just finish then. Then the resident can either opt out, or they can give us some more preferences on what kind of tree they would like, and then we do plant the tree, and we leave them with a watering guide on how to water their tree properly, so it can live for many, many years.
Oh, thank you. Do any of you have a personal story of maybe a home or a community member that you helped get a tree, and that you went through that process with them?
Yeah, so a story that's really cool to us, we were just reminiscing on it, is a resident actually came out to one of our plantings to interview us for a school project. And then we were like, oh, hey, wait a second, you live here. When we were looking on streets to plant on. And so we were assessing the street, so we were taking the measurements of all the things, looking at our surroundings, overhead wires, etc. And she actually got to choose her tree right away, and she and her family members came out and planted with us as well. So that's a very big full circle moment. She'll message us on Instagram and tell us how it's doing, or say, hey, I saw you water, thank you. Yeah, that one's really cool.
And they chose a gold medallion tree, so it has a ring of yellow flowers, and they called it Goldie. That's really cute. How they refer to the tree as Goldie.
Yeah,
we always make sure we name the trees. The residents or the planters, the volunteers have to name the trees.
Oh,
How do you guys choose the areas where you do the community planting, or how does a community member participate in having one of those trees planted in their community so that they can take care of them?
Well, the three of us, we decide. We look for areas like streets that have 20 available sites for a tree. So it's a pretty big area. It can't just be a 10-foot little space on a street, in a parkway. It has to be maybe 15 feet enough. And then we communicate with the residents and ask them to adopt the tree. So it's kind of like a partnership with making sure that the resident feels ownership over the tree, and we've noticed that this is the best way to keep the tree alive for years, because like we were saying with climate change, we might not be able to come out to the field and water trees or fix stakes as regularly as we would like to, but making sure that we have like eyes and like a loving heart that really cares about the tree, it really helps with its growth.
Yeah. And I think also something that like I wanted to mention, because Xiomara was like, the tree planting is like really the icing on the cake. And I think that's just so true, because the work that we do, like there's so much like pre-work and post-work when it comes to a tree planting, but it's really something that like I myself look forward to every week, like on a Saturday morning, like when we get to like talk to our volunteer supervisors, who are like our supervisors and volunteers that come and like are trained to help us like plant the trees with like other community members, and they're like coming a couple times a month or like once a month or whatnot, and it's just like really nice to like connect with community members and like just have so much energy during a planting. Like it's just so fun, and it can be like really hard work too. Sometimes like the dirt is really hard, and it takes a lot of energy to like plant this tree, but afterwards like there's so much like pride and joy that you have when you finish doing something like that, and just being able to be with community members and like experience that is just like really amazing. And so like that's something that I definitely like look forward to with like our work, is just like being with community, and like even doing canvassing for like new sites, it's also like really nice to like talk with people, and like I was talking to some folks today, and like one neighbor who like had his own like kind of trauma around like trees and stuff, like was saying how the having all of these winds is like really scary, and like he doesn't know if he really wants to have a tree right now, and like that's totally okay, but like just being able to have these conversations with community members and being able to like open up a conversation, and maybe like in a month or so when the winds die down, maybe we can go back and like talk to him or something. But like there's just always having like this communication with community members is just like really great to have, and like something that I really value with the work that we do.
With that communication, how do you integrate that cultural awareness when you're like approaching planting a tree and speaking with community?
Yeah, I mean, I think like when we're talking about like here in the Northeast Valley, like we have a lot of like monolingual Spanish speakers, like we have a lot of folks who are like really integrated into the community. And so like for me, I think there's a huge level of like language justice that I really come to, especially like as a Latina who like doesn't really know a lot of Spanish. Like I really experience like firsthand what it's like to like try and engage with like someone that you love, and like there's a language barrier. And so making sure that like we're able to like communicate with community members who maybe like don't speak English is like really important. So that's why we always have like flyering that's like in English and in Spanish, and like even if it's just like me by myself, and like we're trying to have this conversation, and like Spanish speakers here in the community are like so gracious with their time and like their patience with us about like just okay, I know a little bit of Spanish, you might know a little bit of English, and like we're gonna get through this conversation like as best as we can. And I think that's something that's like really important to me as like being affected by that. And so I think that's just like really important. And then also just like with the trees of like, oh, like I really want like this type of tree, or like maybe there's like a certain tree that like really reminds you of like home or like whatnot. And so I think that's definitely something that's like been integrated in the work that we do. And something that I've noticed too is like a lot of our other coworkers are like, nobody's doing it like the San Fernando Valley team. And I think that like it's a huge tribute to like the work that like Xiomara, Rose, and like our late regional manager Pam, like they have all done like so much work to like create this environment for like me to step into that's like warm and welcoming, and like the community like knows who we are and like are excited to see us. And I think that's just like embedded in the work that we do, and like it's like really unique to the team that's like sitting in front of us right now. So yeah,
trees and nature are just a worldwide love, that's the, as much as I'm very sad that I don't speak Spanish, I will go up to our amazing community members and I will try my best, and then I'll show them our beautiful flyer, and they'll be like, "Oh, yeah, okay, a tree? Yeah, for sure." like we all know what's going to support our community. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know that even my mom, there was a time where we didn't really have a space for a tree, and one time she came home with a tree, and we had it in our we lived in an apartment building at the time, and we put the little tree and the patio, not the patio, what is it called?
Yeah.
A patio, right?
Yeah.
We put it in the little patio outside, and the tree stayed there until we had somewhere to move to plant it.
Aww.
And so we did move a few months after that, and we were able to plant the tree. But my mom, I actually don't even know where she got that tree from, because we were kids. I was like in high school, and I have a very vivid memory of my mom coming home with a tree, and I'm like, where are we gonna put this tree? Like, we live in an apartment.
That's something that we're very conscious with when we do our fruit and shade tree giveaways. Like, we really try to make sure that we have enough trees that could be theoretically in a pot for a period of time. Because I know myself, I don't have anywhere to plant a tree. I have potted plants outside. And we make sure we give those instructions on how to care for it in the pot, and also a word of caution that it shouldn't live there for its whole life. Mm-hmm. Like, you moved and you got to plant it. So yeah, that's something we're very aware of too, for sure.
Yeah, I think having being able to also just realize that, yeah, it's some people want to take a tree, but they live in an apartment, and just having that level of responsibility too, of being dang, I would love an avocado tree, but I live in a 500 square foot apartment. I can't take it. But also some people who live in apartment buildings, they literally will come to a tree giveaway prepared and being yeah, I live in an apartment, but I've talked to my landlord, and they're really willing to support this tree. And so that's also happened before too. And so it's just again, continuing having conversations with people, and making sure that you're connecting and seeing, how can you continue to plant trees and put trees in the ground.
Thank you. We're gonna go ahead and take another little break. You guys are listening to Voces Unidas on KROJ 101.5 FM. This show is produced by Valley Views SFE Media and Voces Unidas in Pacoima. We also have a show called Las Comadres, which today's hosts are the hosts of that show. I am Comadres Diosy.
Comadre Maria.
And we're having a great time talking to TreePeople, and I hope you guys stick around. We'll be right back to wrap up our segment. Hey guys, so if you guys stuck around, thank you guys so much for sticking around. This has been Voces Unidas with TreePeople, and it's been such a lovely conversation, you guys. Thank you guys so much. My comadre and I learned a lot about TreePeople with you guys here. To wrap up our conversation, I wanted to ask you guys about your favorite, we can go around the table here, and just talk about our favorite tree. You want to go ahead?
Yeah, I can go first. I love a magnolia tree. I think they're so pretty. They're really big, and they have really big flowers, and they're actually edible. But yeah, they're one of the oldest trees, I'm pretty sure. They're ancient, so they're just really cool. I find how old they are very cool, and yeah, I just think they're just really beautiful, and especially when they're big and blooming, they just bring me a lot of joy. And there's a couple of magnolias in my neighborhood that I grew up in Ventura, and so a lot of times they remind me of home. So yeah, that's me. What about you, Z?
Okay. I guess my favorite tree changes with the seasons, but right now I like the Tipuana tipu tree, or just tipu tree. If we do a lot of work in San Fernando Valley, and we have other teams in other areas too, but our headquarters, TreePeople headquarters, is at Coldwater Canyon Park up in Beverly Hills, Studio City. And in the parking lot, we call it the Parking Grove, because we have some really big tipu trees that provide shade to the cars when you go park for a nice hike there. So.
Tipu tree. I'm Googling that.
They also provide sap on my car, but But I still love them so much. They get huge, and so we can't plant them everywhere, but we would really want to plant them in some more places. My favorite tree that unfortunately also we can't plant, maybe I should have chosen another tree, is a California buckeye. And they're native to like Sierra Nevadas, and they produce these ginormous. Most people don't know that we have a California buckeye because they think of Ohio. When you say
yeah,
Buckeyes.
the Ohio Buckeyes are a huge thing in Ohio.
Right? But we
I love that
actually
you know
have
that.
one. She knows
I'm
everything.
telling you. I'm telling
There's
you.
a lot of stuff in here that
I
comes
am
handy. at points in
like,
life.
this is why this is the comadre. I go to the comadre.
No,
I'm like,
Just to
what?
learn the fun fact.
The Buckeyes are a huge deal too because my job has a satellite office in Ohio, and my partner lived in Ohio for a little bit. And when we went to the office one time, we work remotely, so we went to the office, and somebody had sent us like a thing of Buckeyes. And they were like, this is like the Ohio thing. Like they were like talking it up. I didn't actually ended up trying one because they looked a little weird.
Of the seeds, yeah.
Yeah.
Are they huge?
They were big.
Yeah. So
They
we
were
have
big.
our California Buckeyes have huge seeds, and they lose all their leaves, and then it's just these seeds growing at the end of their arms, of their branches, and it just looks super cool.
They're
I like it a
edible, the
lot.
seeds?
I can't confirm that the California Buckeyes are edible.
Buckeyes, but
I'm-
the ones in Ohio, they are like I think roasted and like seasoned and stuff.
wow.
Yeah, it's a big thing.
I'm looking at. I pulled it up on Google here, and they're actually very gorgeous trees.
Right?
Very, very pretty trees. Well, thank you for sharing. Were you done with your thought?
I'm done.
Aw.
Well, I'm not as savvy with trees, but my most favorite one is usually tied to the holidays. It's the Christmas tree. So like a pine tree, like a good, is it evergreen or like green tree that's just piney, and the smell of it is just, I don't know, it's so soothing, and it's so pretty to just see all the little like individual like little pine needles and stuff, and it's and then also just any tree that houses raccoons are my favorite. Shout out to my friend Gus.
Shout out to
Shout
raccoons.
out to Gus. No, we have a group chat, and I am the adopted cat that looks like a raccoon, but they treat me like a raccoon. But we have a group chat where we talk about raccoons,
Raccoon
but
talk.
it's raccoon talk.
Oh.
Yeah, it's actually really funny and cute because they send all the memes there. And there's a lot of raccoon memes. Ever since I became friends with them, my Instagram is infiltrated by the raccoons. Yep. But my favorite tree is the sycamore tree. I love sycamore trees. One of my favorite trails here in the San Fernando Valley has a lot of sycamore trees in it, which is Aliso Canyon. And so I also just really love like what they symbolize and like the strength and protection, longevity, all of that stuff. And they've just always been like a staple piece when I've been like going through something hard. I always seem to find like a nice sycamore tree to like sit under. And when I realize like, oh, what am I sitting next to? It's always a sycamore tree for some reason. So I feel very connected to them, like maybe like an ancestor or something. I don't know. But I love sycamore trees. But yeah, guys, thank you for sharing your favorite trees with us. Thank you for letting us know all about TreePeople, and you know the good work that you guys are doing here in the community, especially here in the city of San Fernando, and just the city of the
Northeast
San Fernando Valley as a whole. But I wanted to give you guys the opportunity just to talk directly to our listeners and let them know how they can get involved with you guys or where they can find you guys.
Yeah, so we have a very beautiful, robust website, treepeople.org, where one, you can find amazing information on how to plant your trees, how to care for your yards, how to get your school involved with Tree People, but also we have this amazing volunteer calendar that has all of Tree People's events through the whole of Southern California. Ours are usually titled with where it is, so San Fernando or Pacoima. And then also we have lots of other teammates that are in South LA, in El Monte, and we also have mountain forestry that obviously is really important right now to recuperate from the fires. A lot of the projects that they do are in old fire scarred, burned areas. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then you guys can also follow us on Instagram at TreePeople, but then we also have our own Instagram, the San Fernando Valley team. Does someone want to shout out the username?
At SFV Loves Trees.
SFV Loves Trees.
Oh, I know that one.
You heard it here first, y'all. Also, like, shout out to Voces Unidas. Thank you so much for having us on.
Thank you.
Definitely follow them on IG too, at Voces Unidas in Pacoima. And yeah, I think, like, other than that, definitely just, like, check out the website, come out to a tree planting, like, bring your friends, bring your community groups. Like, we're always looking for folks to come out. We'll be planting every Saturday for the foreseeable future.
For
So
the rest of time.
yeah. So yeah, but thank you so much for having us.
Of course. Thank you guys so much. Melisa, Xiomara, and Rose. This is Comadre Diosy
Comadre Maria.
logging off with Voces Unidas. Again, this was a pre-recorded segment, and you guys will hear from us live in just a sec. Enjoy the music. Bye.